Welcome to part 16 of the Question Everything series of videos. And if you have not yet, please go to the Question Everything playlist and watch the first 15 parts of the video series. They are open to the public and please share them with your friends and family. In this part 16, I want to talk about an experience I had myself personally when I was still a minor. I was a teenager, and this is in relation to UNTAG. Now, this special task group from the United Nations, and they were called the United Nations Transition Assistance Group, and I will put a link in the description below this video where you can go and read about their history. They went to do the transition for about a year period in what we know as Namibia today, as a transition in the period when the League of Nations still allowed South Africa control over the Southwest African region, to where the United Nations decided after 1945 and the Second World War that South Africa has not got jurisdiction there. And as you know, the border war took place. There were many things that happened, and I will give you that link to the Wikipedia article where you can brush up on UNTAG's role and the UN's role in Namibia, where quite a few of the United Nations troops actually lost their lives in a year period. And this is not that usual, because normally these are supposed to be peacekeeping missions where the UN sends in troops from other UN countries. So in this case, things didn't always go as planned, and 19 of these UNTAG troops actually lost their lives. But my story is not about Namibia. It is what happened in the transition to UNTAG withdrawing from Namibia. Very much like America withdrawing from Afghanistan, it was a complete and utter disaster. In this link that I'm giving you, which is from Wikipedia, you can go and do further research from there to get the real truth behind what actually happened. But like I say, this is not what this story is about. It's about UNTAG's withdrawal from Namibia and the complete and utter disaster that this was. And one thing that happened during that time is looting and pillaging like you cannot believe. And many of the UNTAG troops just literally sold some of the items that they have, whether it was military gear, whether it was ammunition, guns, all sorts. They would literally sell to people. People that lived in Southwest Africa. It was a free-for-all. It was like a Rambo situation. And a lot of people lost their lives due to many things that happened because of the withdrawal of the United Nations. Let's get to my specific experience. And I need to be very careful how I explain things to you, because some of these people involved might still be alive today. And I personally experienced someone from Namibia that crossed the border with an UNTAG truck, drive all the way to South Africa, to our house in Cape Town. I won't give the specific location. Pull into the driveway, and I was asked to offload an entire truck full of ammo. And it was packed into our garage at the time, and it contained crates of ammunition, bags of ammunition, and you could start a small war with what was delivered. This was one person that crossed the Namibian border into South Africa, and he said hundreds of these UNTAG trucks had made their way into South Africa with military artillery stashes. Now, all of this equipment remained in our garage for an extended period of time before it was later removed, and where it went then, I have absolutely no idea. What I do know is that this person that brought this ammunition had before bragged about coming into the country with a car boot full of weapons, and that the police had stopped him and wanted to arrest him when they saw the weapons, and then was quite shocked when he could produce licenses for every single one of them. Now I want you to think about all of these weapons coming into South Africa from that time. Where are these weapons? Where are they stashed today? And what do people intend to use them for? And why were they allowed to come into the country? This person that brought this UNTAG truck, white UNTAG truck with the UN signs on it and everything, into South Africa, he was a black ops person, not the reckies. These people would go into other African countries under the auspices of the South African government or military, and they would literally leave their identities behind. And this included my stepdad at the time, who knew this person well. They were part of a team of 6 that would always go and do these operations. And I remember my stepdad actually didn't have a driver's license because the last time he came back into South Africa, he didn't have an ID book or anything. They literally had their identities removed from them, and the last time he came into the country via Mozambique by a hired plane, he had no identity. They were paid handsomely for these trips, but the government and the military higher officials wanted nothing to do with these people. In case they should be caught in these countries, they took the risk upon themselves. But in these teams, there were people that were radio specialists. There were people that were engineering specialists. There were people that were snipers. There were people that were explosive specialists. And there were people that were reconnaissance specialists. So in this team of 6, each and every person had their very specific skill that they were good at. And this person that brought all this ammunition to South Africa was a weapons expert. And I can only wonder what happened to all of those weapons subsequently. And all the necessary authorities are aware of what had happened. So I hope that this has been taken care of. But I want you to think, the next time that you're sitting around a campfire with someone, maybe out in the bush or a braai or whatever, just consider the company that you are keeping. That they might be keeping something under their floorboards, in their garage or wherever, that can incriminate you just for being in their company. And you need to be very careful who you keep company with, especially in this country at times like this, where there's certain groupings of people that have militant ideas, that are training on farms to do things and are doing things that are illegal. Now, this is not just about whether something is legal or not, but it's about people's intent. And just know that with regards to people that are considered to be on the far right and people that are considered to be on the far left, there are weapons stashes across this country. Thousands and thousands of weapons are hidden for a time where they think they might need those stashes. Bring them forward and use them. You should know by now that many of these stashes have been found. Very recently, someone was found with 14 grenades in his possession. Where do these people keep the weapons from? Where do they get the weapons from? Why can they cross into the country with these weapons? And what do they intend to use them for? Why was UNTAG vehicles left behind in Namibia? Why was UN military artillery left behind in Namibia? Why was that brought into South Africa at the time? Why was it allowed? And why could that person drive around in broad daylight with that UNTAG truck? And I want you to think about that. And there's a story within the story here. When you go and click on that link to read up about UNTAG's history and what happened in Namibia, I want you to think about 2025. which is very soon approaching. And think of the story within the story. And this is not a doom and gloom story at all. I am telling you to be aware of reality. Things that actually happened, took place. I do not know if intelligence, the police services, any of the intelligence services actually resolved these issues. And you need to be aware that there is a threat of people having access to vast military artillery, and if they choose to use them, that there can be massive loss of life. Thank you very much for listening to this video, and please stay tuned for the next Question Everything video number 17.